Good morning. Will the Committee on Infrastructure, Transportation, and Technology please come to order? It is Wednesday, January 14 at 9:02 a.m. and I would like to welcome Committee Vice Chair Okimoto and committee members Tupola and Wire. Thank you very much for joining us for the first committee of the year. And Happy New Year, Happy 2026. Pursuant to Section 19-3.7, the Hawaii Revised Statutes, HRS, this meeting will be conducted as a remote meeting by interactive conference technology with the following procedures in effect for the meeting. Members of the public will be allowed to provide oral testimony on all items on the agenda through two ways, remotely and in person in the council chamber. Remote and in-person oral testimony will be allowed when the agenda item is taken up. As both English and Hawaiian are official languages of the state of Hawaii, pursuant to Article 15, Section 4 of the Hawaii State Constitution and HRS Section 1-13, members of the public may testify in either language. For oral testimonies offered in Olelo, Hawaii, additional time, as may be necessary, will be allowed for the testifier to provide an English translation of their testimony. Before testifying, each person shall state their name. Each speaker may not have anyone else read their statement and is limited to a 1-minute presentation on each item. All persons who have registered to testify remotely by video conference or phone will be called upon first. When your name is called, please monitor your screen and activate your audio feed when prompted. I will then give persons who have not registered an opportunity to offer testimony. Please utilize the raise hand feature on Zoom to be called upon. For those who are joining us by telephone only, please press *9 to indicate your desire to speak. I'll identify you by the last three digits of your phone number. When your phone number is called, please press *6 to unmute yourself when prompted. Some friendly reminders and tips. Please video conference from a quiet location if possible. If you're watching the proceedings on Olelo, please mute your television at the time you're called to testify. When the timer on the screen reaches 0, please conclude your remarks promptly. Once all the remote testifiers have testified, I will proceed to in-person testimony in the council chamber. Persons who have not registered will be given an opportunity to speak following the oral testimonies of the registered speakers. HRS Section 92-3.7 requires all votes at remote meetings to be conducted by a roll call unless unanimous. Therefore, I will first call for objections, and if there are any, I will call for a roll call vote. For those council members participating from outside of the council chamber, if there will be any, in accordance with HR Section 92-3.7, the meeting will then automatically recess if we lose audiovisual contact with that member and will not be able to reconvene until we reestablish contact. Therefore, please announce beforehand if you will be voluntarily signing out of the meeting. Written testimonies, including the testifier's address, email address, and phone number, will be available to the public as described on the posted agenda. As a courtesy, please turn off or silence your cell phones. With that, we'll move on to agenda item number 1, which is communication D866-2025 from the Department of Design and Construction, requesting consideration of grant of sewer easements and covenants and restrictions easements S1 and S2, grant of sewer easements and covenants and restrictions easements S3, and grant of sewer easements S4 for public use in Honolulu. With that, we have from the Department of Design and Construction, we have the Chief of Land Division here with us. We have Mr. Aaron Sakamoto. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Good morning, Chair Cordero, Vice Chair Okimoto, council members. Aaron Sakamoto with the Department of Design and Construction. We submitted for your consideration dedication documents for 4 sewer easements in the ward area, and we're asking for your acceptance and approval and acceptance for those easements. I'm available to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you. Mr. Sakamoto, I was wondering about the, what will be the use for the easements?
These easements are for sewer lines.
Super, okay. And who currently owns those easements?
It would be the ward. Well, it's being created. These easements are being created.
Got it. And were these easements granted to the city at no cost?
Yes.
Okay, got it. Members, do we have any questions? Okay, we have Councilmember Tupola.
Just brief question. So are the easements necessary because of the additional residential buildings coming up in that area, or is can you tell me the purpose of why all of a sudden we need the easements?
Yeah, I believe it's for the sewer capacity.
It is, okay. Because there's a lot of new buildings right in that area, so I thought maybe that's why it is that it's being built there. And then aside from these easements, do you guys foresee, like, in the future in that area, because there is so much growth, that we would come back and need more? Or is the sewer capacity going to be quite large and going to handle for the next few years?
I would not be able to answer that question. I think that would be a question for environmental services. I'm not sure about the future capacity requirements for the sewer line, but at this point, these lines are necessary.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. And with the four easements, oh, sorry. Are there any other questions, members? Okay. Sorry. Chief Sakamoto, I was just wondering, with the four easements, what is the capacity currently per easement that's being granted or constructed? I know that you may say that we may need to ask ENV.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, I would not be able to tell you what the capacity would be. We could check with ENV and get back to you on that.
Okay. I mean, if I do pass this out, hopefully we can have ENV at the council meeting just to answer just those two or three short questions, because it would also be helpful to, just know the capacity and like Councilmember Topola said, if any may be needed in the future. But I was also wondering, so it's no cost to the city to create the easements, right? You said the easements are being created?
Yes, that's correct.
But because ENV will be doing the sewer work, we don't know how much that sewer work will cost, right?
The construction of the easements, the lines have already been completed. So
Okay.
there's no additional construction
Okay,
on
that's
ENV
good to know.
part.
Perfect. Thank you for sharing that with us. Okay, let's see. Members, are there anything? Councilmember Dos Santos Tam, is that in your district? No, okay. Oh, Councilmember Nishimoto's district. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, members, if we don't have any questions, we can go back to discussion, but we'll go to testimony first. We will now proceed with remote testimony. We don't have any registered testifiers, but and I don't see anyone online to testify. We will now move on to in-person testimony. We don't have any registered in-person testimony, but is there anyone in person who wishes to testify? Yeah. Okay, all right. And maybe to save time, that maybe we can, from the committee, ask a few of the questions and any follow-up questions to ENV and CCU on the document, if that's okay.
That's fine. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, members, we are back in discussion. Members, any discussion for the Chief of Land Division from the Department of Design and Construction? Okay, I do have one question. It is an environmental services project that is now complete. Yeah, it's POW.
The construction's been completed, yes.
Okay, and then so with that, can you explain to people the role of your role and DDC's role in dealing with the easements?
Yeah, well, Department of Design and Construction processes the dedication documents. So when the developer is going in to build, they're required to put in infrastructure, and so we facilitate the dedication process. We coordinate with the other departments, Department of Planning and Permitting, in this case, Environmental Services. We have them, they do the inspections, check the suitability of what's being constructed, and then we do all the paperwork that's involved to secure the rights. So we do all the dedication documents and ensure that the city is, what the city is accepting is proper, and we have the sufficient rights to maintain the infrastructure into the future.
Thank you. And I know that people oftentimes bring up the past, but in the past, when certain neighborhoods are brought up or we have to look at the infrastructure down there. Sometimes not all the mapping and all, just everything, we don't know where everything is sometimes. And so is DDC the department that's going to keep all that information on file, or is that also shared between all the other agencies that ENV has to deal with? Is it just ENV? Is it DDC? Is it both? Does it include DPP?
We have records of the projects that we're involved with and dedications that we're involved with. There's other infrastructure projects that we may not, any kind of dedication we'll be involved with, but other types of documentation, we may or may not have all the records. We do submit all of the dedication items that we've processed to the relevant departments and to the Budget and Fiscal Services, who currently has the property inventory. My understanding is that the rights will, the property inventory will be changing under Department of Housing and Land Management.
I see.
So we have what we work on, but there are other projects that we may not be involved with. But for dedication purposes, we're the primary, well, actually sole entity that processes the dedications.
Okay, so processing, and then, but when there's different projects or different, I guess, anything concerning that infrastructure or even a part of the project will then be housed within that department's, within the certain department that was dealing with that part of the project, yeah?
That's correct, yes.
Okay, and so, and the reason why I asked that is when I worked under my predecessor back in the former mayor's administration, we felt like we had to kind of take a long time to find out who has what documents. And so I was wondering, in addition to that, will this information be uploaded and worked with DIT to upload it to the GIS mapping, and so we can know where all of our city easements are and for what purpose?
Yes, my understanding is DIT is working on a project that would encompass all of the property that the city owns. And I think they were anticipating that it would be sometime this year that they would have it up and running, but I'm not directly involved in that.
Oh, okay.
So.
I understand. Thank you. And thank you for, I know you don't represent any of the other departments, but you having a little bit of knowledge will help us frame like who else we can have in this committee to talk about, whether it be infrastructure or technology. And in this case, it kind of merges together. So thank you. Members, any other questions? Nope. Okay, thank you. The chair then recommends that the document requesting approval and acceptance of the grant conveying easements for public use in Honolulu, transmitted by Communication D-866-2025, be reported out for council approval. Any discussion, objections, or reservations? Hearing none, so ordered. Moving forward to agenda item number 2, we have Resolution 25-332. This resolution authorizes the mayor or the mayor's designee to enter into a memorandum of understanding between the City and County of Honolulu and the Department of Land and Natural Resources State Historic Preservation Division for the review of permitted projects in the Chinatown Historic District and Merchant Street Commercial and Civic Historic District. And members, we have distributed a hand-carried proposed CD1 version of the resolution under OCS 2026-00184/1/13/2026 11 o'clock a.m. submitted by myself. The CD1 makes the following amendments. It labels the Memorandum of Understanding as Exhibit A and makes miscellaneous technical and non-substantive amendments. With that, we have, and this is in Councilmember Dos Santos Tam's district now. I got it mixed up earlier. We have from the Department of Planning and Permitting, we have Michael Catt.
Good morning. My name is Michael Catt. I'm the Historic Preservation Planner at DPP and here to represent the department. We are in support of the proposed CD1, and I am available for any questions.
Okay, thank you. Members, any other questions? Nope. 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 Okay, thank Members, Councilmember Dos Santos Tam.
Thank you. I just have two questions. Mr. Kadam, I appreciate you being here. The MOU, talks about DPP staff having certain expertise in archaeology, architectural history, et cetera. How many DPP staff members are qualified to handle these sorts of reviews as they come in?
So currently, we are in the process of trying to create those positions who have SOI qualified professionals. I might be able to do some of the architectural reviews, but the archaeology qualifications require certain requirements. So we're in the process of hiring for those.
And I understand that the proposed agreement says that if there's no DPP staff, they can either outsource it or turn it back over to the state. Do we realistically think that we'll be able to hire these folks as rail construction comes into town?
Yes, we are working to hire out for those positions, and we hope to have them by the end of this year.
Great, and that's going to be in DPP's budget request? Okay. Second question is, in the MOU, it talks about if a waiver or variance from the standards, such as the Chinatown Historic District standards, Merchant Street District standards are needed, there's a whole process for it. How many waivers have been received to date under the previous, the previous construction activity?
Sorry, could you say that one more time?
So, each project that happens within the Chinatown Special District, Merchant Street District, et cetera, is supposed to meet certain standards, but you can ask for a waiver or variance from those standards. Have any projects to date asked for a waiver or variance from complying with those standards?
None that come to mind.
Okay, great. And the reason why I'm asking is when there's waiver requests or variance requests, sometimes that's a reflection not of the individual project's needs, but perhaps that the rules are either outdated or don't apply to the current situation and thus possibly ripe for review. So, as those come up, as projects come up in the Chinatown or Merchant Street District, and there's things that maybe the rules ought to be looked at again, I think that's something I'd certainly be happy to do because we want the rules to make sense in a 2025 context. That's it for me.
Thank you. Members, do we have any other questions? We have Councilmember Wire.
Thank you, Chair, and all for being here. I'm just curious. So is this like a full delegation of SHPT's responsibilities, or how would you describe it? And the reason I'm asking is I'm just curious if there's potential broader use, given the concerns that stakeholders have raised about the timeline it takes to get or go through the SHPT process. And I know we've been looking at ways maybe the city could speed that up, even just broadly, right? And so I'm curious if you have any insight on that.
Excellent question. For this specific MOU, it wouldn't necessarily be replacing SHPT's review for 6E purposes. This is more to supplement that and to provide monitoring for these historic districts that might result of those unanticipated cumulative effects. That being said, we are in the process of exploring, how to take on some of those reviews. By hiring on some of those SOI qualified professionals, we'll be able to enter into separate agreements with SHPT to allow them to delegate those reviews to us. But that's part of what we're in the process of working out with them.
Awesome. Appreciate that. Look forward to that. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, members. Any other questions? Mr. Catt, I have a question relating to well, first off, in relation to the question that Councilmember Dos Santos Tam brought up about the staffing, how many, actually, no, it's not related to this. I don't want to bring that up. Okay, so would you be able to describe the review procedures that the MOU that we are going to be possibly approving would require, and the necessity for the amendments?
So the review procedure for that. So as projects are coming in, the SOI qualified professionals would be reviewing, first whether or not that action is an exempt action under Chapter 343, and whether or not it would also have an impact on those districts. If it does not have, or if it meets those requirements, then those are added to a report, which is then sent monthly to SHPD. If it does go above that, though, then it is submitted to SHPD and the consulting parties, and then further review happens. The intent is to make sure that as development is happening in these historic districts, their combined effect don't have an unanticipated effect. And so we're reviewing to see how those combined effects kind of stack on each other. And so that's the intent behind this.
Okay, I understand. And so only if they see the necessity to have the report sent, then who sends that? Would it be DPP? It would be DPP?
Yes, we would submit it to SHPD via HICRIS.
I understand. Okay, well, thank you very much for that information. Members, we can go back to discussion, but I'm going to take up the very many testimony that we have. Just kidding. There's none. Well, there was written testimony from Jacob Wincheck, who I actually was just watching on the Waikiki Neighborhood Board, but he's not on the board. Anyway, we will now receive remote testimony. Clerks, we don't have any registered, but do we have anyone online for this measure? Seeing none, we will now proceed with in-person testimony. We don't have any registered testifiers that are in person, and I don't see anyone else in person who wishes to testify, but is there anyone in person who wishes to testify? No? Okay, seeing none, members, we are back in discussion. Back in discussion on this item number 2. Okay, seeing none, all right, thank you. The chair recommends that Resolution 25-332 be amended to the hand-carried CD1 identified as OCS 2026-0018/1/13/2026, 11 o'clock a.m. Any discussion, objections, or reservations? Hearing none, the resolution has been amended to a CD1. The chair then recommends that Resolution 25-332 CD1 be reported out for adoption. Any discussion, objections, or reservations? And I don't want to say reservations, but I guess good questions to ask about the staffing, because I know that when we had that question, I want to say 2 years ago, when we were highlighting the historic preservation and staffing in DPP. Okay, hearing none, so ordered. The measure is reported out for adoption. Moving forward to our last item on the agenda, we have an informational briefing. Agenda item number 3 is the overview on the Department of Transportation Services Active Transportation Monitoring Program. And we have with us joining us in the council chamber is Daniel Alexander. He is the Chief of Regional Planning Branch for the Department of Transportation Services, who will be providing a brief presentation. And for your presentation, for those online, the presentation is available at under Departmental Communication 25-2026. And I do want to note that I did ask almost super last minute, the Chief of Regional Planning Branch to join us because we heard this highlighted, myself and Vice Chair Okimoto at the Transportation Forum. And so thank you very much for accommodating us really at the tail end and last minute, right before I even posted. So thank you.
Hello, everyone. Yeah, thank you, Council Chair. Thank you, Council members, for opportunity to share about one of our programs. Again, I'm Daniel Alexander. I'm with the Department of Transportation Services. I'm the Regional Planning Branch Chief. And yeah, we have a program we call our Active Transportation Monitoring Program, and I'll share some details on it. Historically and to date, we're really good at collecting vehicular data. We have tons and tons of it. We collect hundreds and hundreds of vehicular counts, but we historically have not been great about collecting pedestrian and bicycle data to monitor and understand those movements that are really important for informing project and long-term planning. With this program, we've set out to fill that gap.
Daniel, hang on one moment, yeah? So we can get the materials out.
Oh, sorry. Am I?
Yeah, just keep the slide up. We just need to get our copies as well. Thank you. Oh, it's just me. Just kidding, it was just me. Sorry, Daniel.
Okay, no problem. So it's a combination of permanent and short-term counts. And we started launching this in 2022. That's when we installed our first permanent counters, and they've went out in 4 phases. We built out that system. We're up to 31 counters, and I'll get into more details in a second on those. And then we completed our first year of the short-term counts in 2025. And really have to acknowledge that we get funding support from the Federal Highway Administration through Oahu Metropolitan Planning Organization, their overall work program. So that's instrumental to the program. So the permanent counter sites, like I said, we're up to 31. They're a mix of pedestrian and bike. 12 of those are joint. They collect both pedestrian and bike. 17 are bicycle only, and 2 of them are pedestrian only. That map there shows the distribution, and then the stars are our 5 sites that were installed in 2025 as part of our phase 4. And to give you a sense of what it actually looks like in the field, it's pretty inconspicuous, but the pedestrian counter is a totem or a pole, and you can see it there. It's the vertical element, and it essentially detects body heat that passes by it. And then the bicycle counter is those cuts in the pavement you see. You see those little lines that are kind of in a diamond type of shape. They detect the magnetic field of a bike or a scooter. So here's all the 31 sites. I'm not going to read them all off. It would take a while, but we've really tried to get major facilities for walking and bicycling, and we've tried to get geographic diversity and also trip diversity, so school trips, commute trips. So you kind of see the range there. The first one is at Iki Street, the shared use path that links into Village Park. And then the last one on the list is Ward Avenue, the protected bike lanes in Kaka'ako. And you have sites in North Shore and Eva and throughout the island. And so we have a website, and this is completely open to the public. Anyone can come. This is kind of just a snapshot of it. And you can select any site, and you can do analysis on that site. You can understand what the daily averages are, what the weekday versus weekend, how the hourly flows occur. So you can see, does it get lots of recreational weekend activity, or is it really a commute where you see those AM and PM spikes in activity? And I'll have the link at the end of the presentation as well. And here's kind of a sample looking at a specific site. This is Kulakai Parkway. This is just a little makai of the last rail station. And as you see, over the course of December, it had close to 6,000 users. A little over half were bicyclists, and about a third were pedestrians. And then what's cool is that our newest generation, our recent 5 most recent counters, count scooters too. It's something that you're all aware of, is we've seen a proliferation of other micromobility, bicycle, non-bicycles, electric foot scooters, and this has given us a visibility into that. And as you see, the numbers are pretty significant. We find at the other sites where we have that we're seeing really significant uptake in that, and happy that our counters are now collecting that data as well. So I mentioned we're doing short-term counts as well. So those permanent sites are designed to service a base, but then we've identified about 60 sites for short-term counts, and those are highlighted here. And this program is intended to grow over time as we collect these approximately every 3 years. And that's all I've got for you at the end. This is a link to our website, which it not only covers this active transportation monitoring program, but also our other, of course, we do a lot of vehicular data collection, a lot of speed data collection, and this link here will take you to our public resources for all of that. Yeah, thank you. And just to acknowledge Scott Brady of our staff. He's been the project manager on this, so he's the one, he's got a lot of expertise in this. He did it on the continent and brought some of the expertise here and has really set this program up so he can help answer questions if you have any.
Awesome, thank you. And of course, we have Director Morton here too with us, and so Happy New Year to you both, and thank you for being with us this morning. Members, do we have any questions about this? We have Councilmember Tupola.
Thanks, Chair. Aloha, Mr. Alexander. Wow, I want to first off start off with commending you for being a part of pedestrian safety and, transportation things for so many years. I know we just spoke about it, but for my colleagues, he and I worked on making flags for all the crosswalks in Waianae years ago, and we sewed them ourselves. We put on the reflectors ourselves, and we put them at every single crosswalk because, we thought it would help. And it's just so cool to see all these years later that you're still actively involved in this. I guess my question would be, and if you already addressed it, forgive me, but the main purpose of the counting, what would be the biggest impact this data would have for us as lawmakers? What initiatives or policy items do you foresee us using this data for?
Some of the uses are, Oahu Metropolitan Planning Organization does modeling on the impacts of different improvements. If you build this versus that, what the impacts are going to be. And historically, we haven't had any pedestrian or bike data. And now we have kind of a system of that, so we can see changes over time. And also, we are in the process of updating our Oahu bike plan, so it'll help inform that as well. It can also assist with project evaluation. So as we add in a piece of bikeway, for example, we extended the King Street protected bike lane a little into downtown. We can see, and we saw that Alakea, our counter on Alakea, it tripled. So we can do more project evaluation and understand the impacts of the facilities.
So mainly when we try to do these improvements, how many people are utilizing the improvements, if it's going well, et cetera. I guess my other question would be, with this type of data, do you think that it has increased safety for particular bike users? Because say, for example, we had this discussion in Waianae, like we don't really have room for people to be driving their bike on Farrington Highway. That's super dangerous. So in these models that you've done, say, for example, on King Street, have you noticed less accidents, do you have any data on that?
So one thing, when we have the data, it allows us to analyze the crashes on an exposure basis.
Right.
So if you have tons of people on that facility, you probably will have a few more crashes, but is it safer on a per use basis? So it allows us to do some of that analysis. And if we know where people are walking and bicycling, it can help, like I said, inform where we make improvements. And in that sense, it could help safety.
Yeah, I was just mentioning that because I actually had a town hall in my district and we had a crash site map. So DTS provided it. We saw how many crashes in this particular intersection. Was it bicycle? Was it pedestrian? And it was multiple in one intersection. So I think for us, it was looking at that and trying to determine what we could do for more safety, whereas I think this is definitely good to count, but maybe the integration of the counting and then where high accident sites are. And I know that for a director, they have is it Plan Zero, or is that what it's?
The Vision Zero. Action plan.
Envision Zero. I know for Envision Zero, they already had a listing of all the most dangerous intersections, which ones had the highest crashes. So if there's any way to integrate this data with all of that, I think it'd be great. I love data, but I think it's only useful we're utilizing it for benefits. So thank you so much. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you,
Thank
Councilor.
you. We have Vice Chair Okimoto, as well as one of 3 members on the Council on Oahu MPO Policy Board.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, Mr. Alexander. I have to second the sentiments of Councilmember Tupola. I think that's really helpful for the data. I was just wondering, it's really interesting. Thank you for the diagram. I'm a visual learner. So it's interesting that we have the same pole, but it uses different sensors. I wanted to know about the maintenance and the upkeep of this. How does that work, and the cost for the 31 that you have throughout, mainly downtown, but throughout the island?
So the devices, once they're installed, they're relatively low maintenance. The most significant maintenance item is they're battery powered. They don't have hard electricity routed to them. So we have to replace the batteries every 2 years. And through Oahu MPO, the overall, the funding item we had actually supports the ongoing maintenance, which that's an item. So it actually supports the battery maintenance. And it also, fortunately, it does provide some staffing time. So our traffic technicians that work in the field and do that work. So we've had, I think, 2 of the devices break and had to replace the controllers, which was, I think, $5,000 to replace the controllers. So there is some of that. And there is also, which is also supported by UMPO, to have the system of data transmission, we have to pay kind of a subscription fee for that as well, and that comes with the website and the transmission.
And that's through the UMPO.
And that's funded through UMPO,
UMPO as well. Okay, good to know.
program, yeah.
The batteries are inside here. They're inside.
Yeah, so they all have a battery in it, and that is enough. It's kind of amazing that a single battery would last 2 years, but they've been pretty consistent to their expected life.
And you said when 1 or 2 went down, how do you know? Is there like a thing that goes to your control panel that says this is down?
So well, it stops transmitting data.
And you just see it?
We can see that
Okay.
it puts out an alert stuff. And then we go out, we get ongoing support from the provider, and we can do like a diagnostics. They can log into it and do a diagnostics. And the 2 I mentioned that actually broke, they do like diagnostic.
Okay, good to know.
And they're covered by warranty, so
Okay.
to some extent they can get replaced for part of
And
that.
it looks like with the 31, there haven't been problems with vandalism or damage that way. So that if that did happen, then would the
We have not experienced really vandalism. They're pretty, they're pretty inconspicuous. The worst we've seen is like someone will sticker them, and if you sticker the hole, then they cease to
okay.
work. But that's just to go out and take off the
Okay.
sticker.
Well, thank you. Thank you for your help and assistance. And this is really fun to learn about. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Councilman.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, actually, it's great because when we are looking at a lot of the things that we approved, a lot of the times they're either stacked or buried in budgets, but also like just numbers a lot of time when we have Oahu MPO documents provided to us and plans. And so to see something that is actually physically and tangibly in front of us, funded and supported by Oahu MPO, it's great to see. Does the other Oahu MPO member have any questions? Councilmember DeSantis Tam? Okay, I do have a question about, are there any possible limitations for the counters, like weather permitting? Does congestion kind of jog up the the information transmittal?
No, but if there's, and we've had construction where traffic changes, like for example on Ward Avenue right now,
I see.
there's some major condo construction, and they have physical elements up. You cannot use the bike lane, so
see.
obviously it's not collecting any data.
Okay.
And if it were, say, covered in water,
Yeah.
like you had a major rain event, it wouldn't transmit correctly. And we know with the pedestrian counters, one of the limitations is if you have really heavy pedestrian use, if you have overlapping people side by side, it won't count. So it's the pedestrian counts in heavy use environments are represented under count.
Okay.
And I think one thing, I mentioned the scooters, but we've seen a significant rise in, like I said, scooters and other micromobility. And so it's nice that we have visibility into it now, because it might be, for every 5 bikes, you might have 1 scooter So it can be really a significant, user group.
And for the short-term sites, how many of them are going to be turning into, I guess, short-term / rotational bike count locations? How many of them are you looking to turn into permanent bike counter sites?
I think we're pretty much built out for the permanent,
okay.
unless if we see as we see major improvements. So I'll give one that's coming relatively soon. So DTS is building a shared use path that's going to link the Halava rail station with Pearl Harbor Memorial, and so there's going to be a shared use path on the side of Kamehameha Highway.
Yeah.
And as part of that project, they're going to install Encounter because we anticipate major use on that facility. So as we put in really big facilities, we probably will incrementally add, but the kind of major thrust of building out the system is complete at this point.
Oh, and also that's great to hear about the shared use path. Would love to hear more about that. It's in my district, so would love to hear more. I have a question as it relates to, so you're already built out with the permanent counters, but for the rotational or short-term counters, what is the next priority locations that you'll be implementing these rotational or short-term counters?
So we have about 60 locations we identified, and the idea is we would do them in a 3-year cycle. So we completed 20 in 2025, and we have a list of 20 more, and there'll be 20 more in 2027.
Oh, okay.
And we'll add to those this new, it's very flexible because we just say, hey, we're going to do another location. So we had some kind of outreach around identifying those locations, but again, it's something that can evolve, and as we see other areas we need to count, we can add them to that list.
And understanding that lists can be fluid, especially before immediate implementation, but would the department be able to share that with the committee, the next few years, the next few phases, and locations as well?
Yeah, absolutely. We can share that complete list.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you.
Yep.
We'll do a follow-up a memo to you. Thank you. I was, and so because we had the next 3 years, right, 2020, and then how long is the funding expected to support the program, especially with the staffing, yeah?
So the overall work program is just a 2-year cycle, but we do intend to put in again because it's only maintenance at this time. I think it's a modest amount. I'm not sure what it's going to be next time, but even with these last sites, it was a relatively modest part of the OWP budget. So we anticipate going back and getting 2-year increments. These devices are expected to last at least 10 years, so we'd like to keep them going, and we will keep going back. Of course, it's not a done deal or anything, but we intend to keep going back to UMPO and requesting ongoing funding.
Thank you. And in addition to that, of course, those who are on Oahu MPO know that when we have this data, that there are oftentimes policy recommendations and or design recommendations. And I know that maybe may not be within your branch, but maybe within another division or branch within DTS or even, I don't know, what other department. But would you folks be open to making those types of, or having those types of conversations with Oahu MPO and or this committee about any possible policy or design, like just maybe design recommendations from this data?
Yeah, and our Complete Streets administrator, Renee Espia, she's very knowledgeable, and she's asked a lot of questions of the data to help inform projects and design stuff. And our Transportation Engineering Division, Kelly Akasaki, they've also.
Okay,
so we're working with them and trying to learn. As it was brought up, that putting the data to use is really important. So we've been trying to do kind of project evaluation stuff and inform those decisions. My branch has been supporting that in that sense for sure.
Okay, that's good to know. And so I guess the continuation of it is it will be necessary. Okay, and then lastly. Of course, we know that you're going to see 60 of these up. what would success look like for this program?
Success, I know Scott really wants to see us complete the full cycle of and we'll report on it, Part of when you have the permanent counter stations is it allows you to turn a short-term count into a long-term count because
Right.
you know what the patterns of use are. And so you can kind of say, oh, well, that site would have had so many pedestrians or bikes in a year. And being able to report out on all of that, I think that'll be one really key success point, and that we've got the program still going 2 years from now when we're able to give that whole report.
Thank you. Members, any questions? We have Councilmember or Vice Chair Okimoto.
Thank you, Chair. If you can forgive me again, you may have explained this, but I don't know if I heard. So again, I'm looking at the same diagram, and you talked about one side of the camera you can see scooters or pedestrians. How do you know if it's a scooter or a bicycle? Are these like actual images on a camera that's being
So
taken?
it's it detects a human based on body heat.
Okay.
And then it's like for the ones that do both pedestrian and bike scooter, it's like a deduction. So it's the loops in the ground detect a magnetic force. And so they're looking for a magnetic signature. And that was one, it used to just detect bikes. And a lot of ours only detect bikes. But the company, they heard from us and from others, hey, we got a lot of scooters. You should make this thing. So I don't know, they figured out their algorithms. It's a specific magnetic signature that a scooter puts out versus a bicycle. And so they can distinguish.
And the data that's collected, what does it come to you in the form of? And so there's no, I'm just wondering, there's no cameras where there's people as they're walking, they're getting videotaped. So you're keeping track of based on magnetic force, whether it's body heat from a pedestrian or the bike wheel for the scooter versus the bicycle. What do you get when you receive the data? What does it look like?
It's essentially a spreadsheet. So there's nothing recording an image or anything of a person. It's literally like a data point, like boom.
Wow, okay.
Yes, it just says scooter, it just says bike, just one, and it'll have a timestamp on it.
Okay.
So we're able to look, and then you can break it into 15-minute increments or however you want to look at it.
And that data on the spreadsheet is kept for how long?
Sorry, I missed
Sorry, the data on the spreadsheet, how long does that information, you just have like a rolling spreadsheet it just continues? Okay.
Yeah, it uploads every day because it's kind of a cloud-based. So the devices, supposing they're the batteries in them, but they push data up every day.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Members, any other questions? Well, I just remember when I sometimes would volunteer for Daniel to count bikes, especially in Kalihi and Dillingham. And so this is a huge step up from me just drawing a little dot and marking the time and how many, if they were on a sidewalk or if they weren't on a sidewalk. So this was, that was like 12, 13 years ago now. Wow. Okay. Anyway, these counters are better than my counting, so super great. Great to hear. Members, any other questions? We will now go to testimony. Thank you. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you, Scott. And thank you, Director Morton. Okay. We don't have any registered remote or in-person testimony, but is there anyone online or in person who wishes to testify? Seeing none, okay, members, that concludes our agenda at 9:50 p.m. a.m. Not p.m. Excuse me, a.m. We are adjourned.